Top 10 shootout time, and our first car that we're going to see is Mark Winterbottom, and this is for the first Armour All pole of 2021. Getting tyre temperatures matched has been one of the challenges of the weekend, but dramatically different conditions. 10 degrees warmer than when the cars ran this morning, and absolute direct sunlight on the racetrack means its personality is going to be very different. And Mark Winterbottom's the first to discover what it really feels like.
Oh, gee, he just made it, Neil. He ended up having to turn at the corner early and just get to the apex, a 6.56. So those conditions are massively different.
Sits it up on top of the curb, crossing the line in a 2 minute 6.1. He's taken 4/10 of a second out of Mark.
And given the grip level, Neil, you're probably going to expect a few mistakes, aren't you, in the top 10? Sure. So based on the conditions being so different, you've got to press on, do a reasonable lap. So 6.9, not a bad job.
2 minute 6.9 was the lap time achieved by Scott Pye. So a nice job in recovery. 0.8 of a second down on Jamie Whincup.
But these conditions are so much slower. It's probably in excess of a second slower by the look, isn't it?
You can see the heat haze on the road at the moment as Will grabs the brake for the last time to conclude the lap. Pretty decent lap. He has to pause for a long time there before he can grab the throttle to make sure it stays on line.
6 dead.
Harris and Mark Fenning in the foreground there. Nice job, 6 flat, best we've seen so far. Well done, Will Davison, spending a lot of time at the workshop at Erebus, but it's a huge opportunity for him, and he's making the most of it in this Armour All Top 10 shootout at the moment. Brody Kostecki, final corner for him. Car number 99 for Erebus. Where does he drop in? Third, 2 minutes 6.1. He recovered that nicely. Richard through there. Grabs third gear on the direction change out the other side, and that car was rock solid stable.
It's a pretty good lap.
It's the best cume that we've seen so far. Yep. His engineers watching the micro sectors, and the data all look pretty decent at the moment. So what has Slade got when he gets to the control line? Yes. It's good enough for a 5. Tim Slade sets a new benchmark. It might come in as the lap progresses a little bit, but this has been a somewhat difficult start for him. You could actually hear the right front-loaded tyre protesting back there at turn 1, and we heard it again at 2. Slides it as he makes his run up towards Reed Park as well. First reference is a 51.7. So he's given away 3/10 of a second to the fastest in the first sector so far, Jamie Whincup.
He's had 5 career poles. How's this? It's his 22nd straight shootout. So he's just been so consistent with his qualifying, and that was a nice job. He made the apex nicely. That was the best of anybody so far. We're on board with him. He got the car turned in. Does it turn in here? Yes, it does. It's right inside that white line. So he's been able to generate enough front tyre temperature in the first phase of this lap to get the car turned in at those critical turn-in spots.
This looks pretty good. So he's done a 51.56. He's only a 10th away from Whincup in that first split. And you could tell by the throttle angle and the way he picked it up over the top of the hill after he climbed out of the cutting that the car's pretty well balanced. So off Skyline, doesn't take too much of the curb to the left through the S's. Perfect positioning for the run through the dipper.
Had to adjust the throttle a little bit on the exit of the dipper where he went to go to full 100% throttle, and it started to escape on him, so he had to just come out of the throttle slightly. That's a very nice job across the top. That's the best cume we've seen. The fastest run across the top of the hill for Cam Waters. I reckon that turn 1 understeer that he had cost him in that first sector. The rest of the lap so far has been very good.
As it bites you all the way up Mountain Straight. Here's the run through the chase. Gets the nose settled before he can get to full brake pressure. Tim Slade is watching closely inside the Cool Drive Racing garage to see whether or not his time will stand up. This is going to be very close. It's a beautiful job over the top of the mountain for Cam Waters. Squarely pulls it up into the final corner at Murray's. Now it's connected up a lot nicer than it was at the other end of this pit straight, and that is good enough for provisional pole. 2 minute 5.5 for Cam Waters to be the fastest so far.
He has to smash it back through the gears to do some engine braking to assist with the retardation for the left-hander. It's from 300k to 110k, and he's trying now to get this car stopped for the final corner. Does he make it? Yes. And not quite fast enough.
2 minute 5.7. So great job, Shane Van Gisbergen, but not quite enough in that final sector. So that thing looked hooked up and fantastic over the top, but now he sprays it on the exit of the McPhillamy. Gets a little bit of dirt. What's the impact of that? How much has that cost him? Waters on provisional pole, and Waters has actually claimed the Armour All pole. Di Pasquale drops into 4th. So still a second row start for him, and that'll make for a lively battle between he and Shane Van Gisbergen. Cam Waters and Tim Slade. What about Tim Slade? Blanchard Racing Team, Cool Drive Racing, on the front row of the grid at their debut event. That's a big story. Another big story, Cam Waters, back-to-back poles at Mount Panorama.